Chapter 8, Respect the Process. Hello everybody, my name is HSR, and for the second ever book review, we have The 50th Law. Now, this bad boy was a joint effort by Robert Greene and 50 Cent. Curtis Jackson, you know, that guy, and it was released to the masses on September 8th, 2009. As I committed to my reading quest, this felt like the absolute perfect follow-up to the 48 Laws of Power, and as such, I got this guy. So, what I decided to do is go through the book, kind of like explain it briefly, and then just run through the chapters with some general thoughts, because there's only 10 of them, so we'll fucking do it like that. And first thoughts is you get this book, and it's kind of like a Bible in the sense of it's got the goldness, it's got this awesome little bookmark thing, which was super handy. And honestly, for the fake leather experience and stuff, totally go for that edition. It's actually like, it feels nice to get this book and to carry it around and whatnot. And that's just like the aesthetic of it. But the book kind of starts off with explaining how Robert Greene met 50 Cent, found out they were fans of the book, found out they shared very similar philosophies, and essentially Mr. Greene realized that 50 Cent was, in a sense, one of the modern living examples of a character who almost should have been included in the 48 Laws of Power. As I mentioned when I covered that, it gave a lot of historical figures, and it broke down how their various actions and characteristics contributed to the various law that was being described. So essentially, with the help of 50 Cent, they kind of crafted this extra law, I guess a 49th law, but it would have been a shitty book if it had been called the 49th law, considering it's 50 Cent. So we ended up with that name. And they crafted this law, which is really just fear nothing. And so the book examines how fearlessness basically took 50 Cent from the crack dealing street level of life into the rapper era of life, and then into the business tycoon era of life. And it kind of parallels these three parts of 50 Cent's life and explains how essentially they were all the same challenges, the same problems, the same everything. And in his pursuit of power and ownership, it was this fearless attitude that got him there. So in a sense, you get a lot of interesting anecdotal stories about 50 Cent's life, but more interestingly, you get to see kind of how he used different things to his advantage, and it really is like a living example of one of the characters described in the 48 Laws of Power. So let's just kind of jump through these chapters. So the first one is see things for what they are and intense realism. So it kind of gives you like two little words to play off of each chapter, and this, in a sense, is one of the steps to guiding you to a fearless approach. So the first step is to be like super real with everything. If you can accept the reality of a situation, it can allow you to control the situation, or at least understand what can be controlled, what, etc., what parts you control, all sorts of fun stuff. And I feel like it's really good practical common sense shit, really. So like, if you don't really want to read that last bigger book, this book alone can maybe instill a little bit of confidence for like the rest of the common sense it spits over again. And it uses figures like Malcolm X and stuff as well, gives some quotes with them and a little bit. It's kind of formatted very similarly to the 48 Laws of Power, but instead just kind of going through this ideology. So the second chapter is make everything your own, self-reliance. And honestly, I understand that. It's part of what kind of led me to this YouTube project, was this realization that I could work for other people and forever give my time to them and all of this other stuff, or I could, you know, like study what they're doing a bit, learn the different pieces and apply it. Now, I have no desire to leave where I'm at. I like where I'm at in life, but at the same time, I'm trying to build parts of my life that are completely mine so that I can inevitably create more and more out of that. And it's a little terrifying. So a fearless approach is interesting, right? My number 3 was amazing just because of what it is. It's turn shit into sugar, opportunism. And this is interesting. It's amazing how life can really give you the opportunity to create lemon out of lemonades, or whatever that expression is, just because if you look for opportunity in the worst of your circumstances, whether it be learning lessons, cutting friends, whatever awful crap happens, essentially if you can learn to see the opportunity in everything, it really helps when you get to the fourth chapter, which is keep moving, calculated momentum. So you can these ideas all start kind of like compounding on each other to build you towards a state of fearlessness, and it's really interesting. So keep moving, always be understanding that you have to let things go on to the next project, evolve to the next place in life, and it, if you really try to stick to a specific thing and cling to it, there's a good chance that you're not necessarily going to end up where you want to be in 20 years. And fluidity and momentum and understanding how to go with the tide is a very important thing. One of the interesting comments we got on our Nipsey Hussle review was how it took him 12 years to find the perfect time to release the project. And I think that is a fantastic example of what like this law is all about, looking for. Anyway, so know when to be bad is chapter 5. And also, if you don't agree with anything I'm saying or want to contribute to the conversation, feel free to be bad and aggressive if you want, even in the comment section, and contribute to the conversation. It's not just me talking. I'm just giving my feelings and stuff. I should have said this earlier. My bad. So know when to be bad. And this is literally about understanding that in life, like, you're going to have to be bad and aggressive and pushy sometimes. You're going to have to put your foot down. Like even Machiavelli was saying this stuff, all sorts of repeated times in history. You'll see that great people have to know how to push themselves to be bad when the situation calls for it, whether it means a complete lack of empathy when you otherwise are like calling to be a good friend or something. But nah, really what it's saying is sometimes you gotta be an asshole, and be okay with that. Be okay with being the asshole if it's going to help you get to where you need to be. That doesn't mean be bad. It means know when you need to be bad and, have a switch and control over it. Anyway, lead from the front. Authority, super clear. If you finna do anything in life, be there first, work harder, do more, and watch how people will follow you. It's incredible. It's truth. If you put in 90 hours and everyone else puts in 50, people will recognize that you put in that 90 hours when everyone else puts in 50, so to speak. You know what I'm saying? Anyway, law 7, know your environment from the inside out, connections. So this is networking, this is studying, this is, like, there are some interesting stories. Like when he got signed to his first major deal, I think it was with Interscope, they were not interested in doing things the 50 way. So he studied like literally everything that was required to make his own projects, and then proceeded to do exactly that, kind of using his own money to fuel things and copying and mimicking exactly how the labels would have pursued stuff, only without their restraints and shit. So it's really interesting to just kind of see that. And if you think about how I started this video, it was a matter of watching how to build a company by seeing what all the pieces, like for me and the company I'm trying to put together, it's like I have to watch all the pieces and understand it. I have to talk to designers and be like, how does a designer think? I have to talk to, it's like, so it's interesting. This is like, you have to study, you have to put in real time. If you want to be on YouTube as an example, like you're here, you want to be a creator, go find out what kind of content you want to create, find out who the fucking kingpins of that content are, and go be them. Like personally, I want to be Ethan Klein off of H3H2. That guy is literally like, I look at him, I look at Gila, I think of me, I think of Bonnie, and I'm like, I want that shit in my life. So it inspires you, but then you have to go study. How do I get there? Anyway, you get the point. Then number 8 is interesting. Respect the process. Now, I'll be honest. I have scripted none of this video, and I kind of wrote some points, but like literally the laws in the first little bit. But maybe it sounds like it's scripted. Maybe it doesn't. I don't really care. I'm trying to just, give my impression of the book. But my ability to just kind of fluidly speak and come at this without stammering and all of that other stuff is a skill that I have been putting work into for pretty much my entire life. I was a corporate trainer in a call center, spending 40 hours a week telling people how to do the job. That even got me to travel overseas a bit. Presenting has always been fun for me. I make music. I'm all over being in front of an audience and a stage. In fact, the weirdest part is doing this where there's no audience, but still, with practice, we've been doing these podcasts for a long time. We have acquired it, and you'll notice that we don't have a huge following or anything, but part of it was this. We don't know how to be good yet, and we are still only learning how to be good. if I had tried to make this video a year ago, it would have looked like complete trash. I would have sounded like a fucking fool, all sorts of business, because it took so long to even just figure out how I want it to sound on the internet. Like, it's ridiculous how much goes into mastering any set of skills. But yo, I can recommend another book that I'm not going to cover because I read it way back when. It would be Outliers by Malcolm Gladwell. It really kind of shows mastery in a very interesting and tangible way for your life. I read it when I was like 25, 5-6 years ago, and it changed a lot of how I think about the world. So I can recommend that too. Then we can talk about chapter 9, which is push beyond your limits, self-belief. Now, this is possibly, I think, the hardest one of everything in this list. This is where I think a lot of people have some trouble. It's like when you wake up and you've lost subscribers and like the last 7 videos haven't performed well and you're getting in shit at work because maybe a deadline's not coming and your girlfriend's mad at you because you're not doing chores, and you know, reality is that you still have all your checklist and you're in debt and this and that, the next thing, but then you still somehow wake up, you still go and do whatever it is that you are trying to do, and you continue to develop that work ethic to push yourself beyond whatever you thought. If you thought you couldn't work 7 days a week, you are wrong, my friend. You can work every single day of the year. Oh, you should take off like 1 or 2 here and there, take off a week for a vacation, but there is nothing that stops you from going 3 full months straight with maybe 1 or 2 days off in the whole thing. And that's what the grind is. And that's kind of what I think that really you're supposed to take away from this. If you believe you can achieve it and you put in that work to get there, there's nothing that can stop you from getting there. Finally, the last law is the most interesting, and it's confront your mortality. And I personally have had very few experiences with death in my life. I guess one of my grandmothers passed and whatever, but we weren't very close, and I haven't had a lot of, you know, close people go away. But recently we went through a very close family situation where the idea of death was preeminent, or loss or extreme gladness was happening. And albeit it wasn't my mortality, facing somebody else's mortality and understanding what life, like, you almost get this like priority check, and you go through some stuff, and all of a sudden what's important is these end goals and these aspirations and these dreams. When death is on the line, when you realize you can pass through it, or that it's coming, and that you just have to grind, and that, like, from 50's point of view, it was like, you can you're going to die, you should just make the best of it and not be afraid of it, because, you know, the first time you see a gun is scary, second time, etc. From my end of it, it was like, just kind of like, when you confront any kind of mortality, the reality that death is imminent and you can get past it, etc., and you cannot fear it, all of a sudden you realize how finite and precious time is. Now, that was just like an incredible thing to really just think about and consider, and you should really consider it too, just that you don't have forever, and you can still do incredible things with the time that's left and stuff. So I don't remember what chapter it was in, but I think before we wrap this up, the most important and interesting takeaway from this whole book for me was 50 Cent's views on boredom. And it's something I've kind of understand where he's coming from. He feels that boredom is literally like the best thing that can happen, because it gives your mind an opportunity to wander and do some of that like calculations and background figuring out that you need to do that you might be putting off. So in his example, he would picture long hours standing on the corner, where he could instead think about how to rap better, or how to plot out the next moves and stuff. So if I think about it, I'm sitting here editing videos, or coming up with this, or sometimes listening to these albums all the time. You know, you might get a little bit bored, but then you let your mind wander and you start visualizing objectives and goals and what to do next and stuff. And if you can learn how to take the most boring and the mundanest of tasks and find a way to turn that into a productive use of your time, you have officially entered the real grind, and you will find your way to the top, because all of a sudden every minute of your day is used for a practical purpose. And boredom's a choice. And yeah, anyway, I'm gonna leave it with that. Y'all can let me know what you think about any of what I said. Whole point of this is really to know what books you're reading, even what books I should read next. I've got like a couple more that like I said, I finished, got a couple more to buy, but then I'm out of ideas. So anything you read that you think would be fucking interesting or informative. My only real rule right now is it's got to be nonfiction. And basically, yeah, let me know in the comments what you think. And if you do so, you enter into our grind to 1,000 subscribers contest, where if you subscribe to the channel, like the video, and leave a comment about the book, about me, about whatever, just again increase the interactions on the video to like create a bit of a community. You enter into a raffle where first place will receive $100 of Amazon gift card money, plus you can request a review of whatever the fuck you want from whoever you want off the channel. Second place is $25 plus an Amazon gift card. And second place is $50 and third place is $25, and both of those also get a review. Plus, for every video you go in the past and you like and you add a comment on, you get an additional entry into the raffle. As you can see, we're in the early part of 800. We're super close. You can help us make a serious difference. If you dig this, share it with your friends. Try to show us some love. Take a look at what else we have going on here. We're trying to grow every day. And yeah, thank you all for being here. I really, really appreciate you taking the time to watch this, and anything I can do to improve and yeah, whatnot. We have some stuff coming. Peace and love and all that. Bye-bye.